Hello, welcome back to Erica's Little Welsh Garden. Today is Wednesday the 15th of May. It's about 10 to 8 in the evening, so I'm just out in the garden getting both of my small greenhouses ready for bed basically. And since I haven't actually done a little tour of both my greenhouses, of the pumpkins that germinated and the beans, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do it. So what I've tried to do is put all of my beans in this propagator and my pumpkins in that one. So we'll talk about my beans first. It's been really interesting to see how those Heritage Seed Library beans have germinated and things. One lot that have gone absolutely crazy are these ones. These are Sims Corsair, and as you can see, every single one of those has germinated and they have pretty much shot up. Now I germinated these on my windowsill indoors, and then I have them out in the propagator here, the little greenhouse, for a couple of days now. So now during the day I've just had those out so they can start hardening off because they are ready to go, and they're really lovely deep green leaves. So yeah, really happy with those ones. I think these are going to go on my patio. I have two pots here with 5 long canes in each, so I'm going to be putting those on my patio. Really happy with those, and it's really interesting that these, out of all of the other beans I've got growing, are twice the size. So yeah, really happy with that. In this propagator we have the Portuguese red, so they are doing really well as well. But my saved runnerbead seeds from last year haven't germinated at all, so really sad about that. But these have been at the very bottom of this greenhouse, so I'm thinking that possibly it got a little bit cold for them. So yeah, really sad about that. But with these Portuguese, these are dwarf French, and they are going to be going up in my woodland garden. I've been making a bean support and trellis thing over the last couple of days, so I will give you an update on that soon. But yeah, they're going to be going up in the woodland, and again they've all come up, and they're all about the same size. There's one here though that's a bit tiny and a little bit weedy, but apart from that, all done pretty well. So there you go. I was hoping though that these runner beans were going to have germinated, because obviously I grew them last year, so it'd be interesting to see how well they do in comparison to my other beans, the ones I just showed you there a minute ago, but possibly it was just a bit too cold for them. And the next lot of beans I've got here, again, are a French bean. These came free with the Grow Your Own magazine last issue actually, and I think they're called, I might have spelled it wrong, blowhold? No, that's wrong, so ignore that. But they've all germinated now, and I'm not sure where they're going to be going yet. I've got another lot of those in here as well. By the way, I used these pots last year and didn't really get on with them, but this year I have really got on so well with them. When they get a little bit bigger, I can't show you here because they haven't, but basically the roots come out of them, which is amazing because they can just go straight into the ground. So because these were a freebie from a magazine, I hadn't actually planned on growing these, but possibly at the allotment or in a pot somewhere, no idea, but somewhere around. With a French bean as well, because they're self-fertile, they don't need to be pollinated by insects. So if you wanted to have a really early crop of those in a greenhouse would be great, as long as you've got the height. And then in here we do have some of the runner beans that I saved from last year that are just starting to germinate, but again been really slow. I've just remembered there's a big spider in the bottom of this, so hopefully it's not going to jump out. But in here we then have the dwarf French bean called Black Cocoa. They're in all of the paper pots there, but as you can see, only a couple of them have germinated so far. But these were right at the bottom of the propagator, or the little greenhouse here, since I put them in, so I'm wondering if it was a bit too cold for them. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 have definitely germinated, so possibly I'm not going to get a really big harvest from them, but I can save the seeds hopefully. And these are called black cocoa. They're a dwarf French bean. They're from the Heritage Seed Library, and they're really good for drying and cooking in like things like Mexican food. So there you go. That is all of the beans that I have growing this year. So hopefully I'm going to get lots to the freezer and lots for saving seeds. And because these are all Heritage Seed Library seeds, they are rarer and they're not commercially available. So if I can get lots of seeds saved, I can give them away at all of the seed at the seed swaps and stuff. So hopefully, yeah, it will be a good year. So now we're over to the pumpkin greenhouse, which is so exciting. But I just remembered I do have some beans in here because they were sharing a tray with some pumpkins, and I didn't want to move them because I didn't have any space for them in there. But I do have more beans, and these are they're a heritage bean. They were originally they were in the seed library, the I think it was the Irish Seed Library. Then they went to a seed library in Wales. I found out about them, got in contact with the seed library, and they sent me some. And this is the Brecon Black. So obviously in this area, well, you might not know, I am on the edge of the Brecon Beacons here. So this bean is called Brecon Black, which is great. One of the things that got me really excited about it was the fact that the bean was black, because with runner beans I've only ever seen the kind of traditional coloured ones, which are kind of like pinky spotted and black, but the Sims Corsair ones that I'm actually growing are also black, so that's doesn't make them so special now, but that's what they look like at the moment. So you can see they're still really tiny, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to save lots of seeds from that as well. But in this tray as well, I've got the breeding stock. So Real Seeds, UK catalogue of seeds, have a breeding programme of squash, and you can buy some seeds from them and then create your own pumpkins, your own squash variety. So I have 10 seeds here in this side, and they have all germinated, but they're all at different kind of levels of germination because they've literally just peeping through the soil now. So yeah, so excited about that. If you're interested in finding more out about this, I will be doing probably just like a little series on its own as they get growing, so we can kind of see how they do and stuff. But basically with it is each one will possibly, I think, produce a slightly different looking squash, and then each flower I need to make sure it's like self-pollinated, so it's got true seeds, and then after 6 years of doing that it should be a stable variety. So we'll see how that goes, but yes, that's doing pretty well, which is good. The next lot are my cheeky prints. So if you're not familiar with Richard and Paul, they crossed a Crown Prince with a Uchiki Curie last year, and they've given seeds everywhere all over the world, so they are doing pretty well, and they're just about to get their their first kind of true leaves come through, so that is exciting. And then I have just here, I've got 4 of them, and they are Jack B. Little pumpkins. Now they were organic seed that I grew last year, and they grew all over this this trellis that I've got above me here, and one of them grew 20 pumpkins and the other grew 13, so it was absolutely prolific. These are safe seeds, and I do know that they didn't cross-pollinate with anything else, so really interesting to see, because maybe they did, I don't know, maybe somebody half a mile down the road grew some as well, because this is a Peppo type rather than a Maxima, so pretty excited about that because that's the 2nd generation. And when I went to all of the seed swaps, I'm so sorry, this is going to be a chatty one. When I went to all the seed swaps, I gave out loads of these seeds, and every single one of those seeds had my contact details on, so you never know, somebody might get in contact with me and let me know how theirs are doing. the next lot are the giant flat Peppo. Now I think that's what they're called because when I say Peppo, obviously it's a Peppo type, but it's called giant flat. But it was from the Bristol seed swap, I think. So I have 4 lots of those, but I have no idea what the variety is because I can't find it anywhere online. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what becomes of that. Then I have Phil. So this seed is Phil, and this was grown by Liz Zorab at By the Farm last year. It was meant to be a pink banana squash or something, but it was completely rogue. It was absolutely massive, so it must have been cross-pollinated somewhere before she bought the seeds. So yes, and yeah, there's a few of us growing that too, so we'll see how that does. Okay, and then I have Table Queen. Now Table Queen is a this came from the Welsh Seed Library that gave me the Brecon Black. I said to him that I was really interested in growing you know, old types of squash, so he sent me these, doing pretty well. Oh, the next one, which is Chicago Warted Hubbard. This is like a small pumpkin that's covered in warts. It looks like a toad basically, but it's orange, and I can't wait to see how that does. But this was from the Heritage Seed Library. They only give you 3 seeds. I'm sorry, the camera just shook. I got really excited and kind of pushed on the table and it jiggled. They gave me 3 seeds as well, which is like, you're like really scared because you don't know if they're all going to germinate or whatever. But 2 have germinated to this stage, and this is the 3rd one, which was totally dry today, but I did notice the seed had a little root emerging from it, so fingers crossed. And yeah, the rest of those are Phil. And then we have in here, I did actually plant, or I sowed 2 lots of courgettes. There's no variety name on the courgettes. They were free from a magazine and it just said zucchini on it. So I've got another tray of these, but these are the only ones that have germinated. So I've got 6 that have germinated, and then I have another 6 that have done absolutely nothing. But again, these have been germinated from seed in the greenhouse, and I've actually learnt this year that it's best to let them germinate in the house so they just show a little bit of green, and then bring them out to the greenhouse, because obviously it's been still too cold at night. But I'm hoping that I still get a few more courgettes germinate other than this 6, just because I'm greedy and I want to have loads of courgettes basically. And then in this tray here, I've got 2 lots of yellow courgette, but only 1 is germinated. But I did have a little dig around in there and I see a little bit of green, but it's been a little bit green for a couple of days, so I don't know if it's just, yeah, not very strong. Okay, and then, ooh, this one is also a save seed one. This came from Bristol Seed Swap, and there is no name of the pumpkin or squash apart from BS5. And BS5 is the start of the postcode of an area in Bristol, but it happens to be, BS5 happens to be the last postcode that I was living in Bristol 2 years ago. So I really can't wait to see what comes of this. But they're looking really strong, and all of them germinated, and I put 2 in each, thinking that because they were saved, maybe they wouldn't do very well. But yeah, pretty happy with that. And then I've got 3 lots of Uchiki Curie, but actually they've taken ages to germinate, and they're looking really weedy, so yeah, not so good. Okay, and then the next lot I've got in these small fibre pots are, I've got Queensland Blue. Now this one came from the the seed library in Wales. As you can see, look at that, it's growing roots at the bottom, which is amazing because you can just plant them straight in the ground. These are great. But also, so I've got 2 lots of Queensland Blue germinated from that seed library, but also Jasmine from Alternative Smallholding sent me a load of seeds back a few months ago, and she sent me some Queensland Blue. So I think they came from, like, there was an organic, they were organic seeds. So it would be really interesting to grow these 2 together to see if one's from purchased seeds, you know, and one from a seed library come and look exactly the same. I think that'd be really interesting. So, pretty much that is it. I do also have some butternut squash, Waltham, or something like that, but they have not germinated whatsoever, but they've been right at the bottom of this propagator, so I'm thinking that, again, it's been a little bit too cold. So yeah, that is what is growing on in my my little greenhouses at the moment. So I'm super excited, and what I've done is, I don't know if you can see if I turn the camera around a little bit, because I've just left all of these seeds and stuff. It takes me ages to work out how they all go back together, but because I am trying to harden things off now a little bit, I have started, when I'm going to bed now at night, I'm just leaving these open just a little bit like that, so they can all start hardening off, because it's getting to that time of year now. I mean, last year on the 13th of May, I did actually plant out all of my squash, and they were all doing really well because I'd planted them a lot earlier. But from kind of going through the season last year and going to my gardening club, I've met a couple of you know, real experienced gardeners from Wales. They do everything a lot later than I would ever have done. And you know what I think is great about doing things later is, 1, you don't end up with seeds all over the house, but 2, you don't have to repot anything up. All of these squash and stuff now, I'm literally going to plant straight into the ground as they are. So yes, anyway, I really probably have been chatting for about half an hour now, and as much as I love talking about pumpkins, you probably don't love listening to me going on about the fact I love pumpkins. But do you know what? If you don't like pumpkins, you're probably still not watching this. So if you are still watching this and you're not a skeleton because I've bored you to death, then yeah, how exciting is it? Right. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to leave it like this, and yeah, hopefully by the end of the weekend I will have those beans out in the ground, and I will be able to do a bit of a tour of my woodland garden, because I've been working on that in between kind of looking after the children and going to the allotment. So exciting times. Anyway, I really must go now, so thank you very much for watching. As usual, like I always say, if you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're watching, please hit that subscribe button now, and ring the bell to be notified of all of my latest videos. Thanks so much.